This short video demonstrates a procedure for importing and exporting complex section shapes in Autodesk Structural Bridge Design. The shapes of Autodesk Structural Bridge Design sections can be defined in many ways, such as parametric shapes, standard concrete beams, standard steel sections, and user-defined shapes. However, when the shape is relatively complex, it can be very time-consuming entering the coordinates of many points around the section. So it is sometimes more convenient to use a CAD program to do this for us. In the following example, the process will create a reinforced concrete hollow section, as shown here, with 80 25mm bars in each face with 50mm cover. The inner shape of the hollow section follows a continuous cubic spline with the control points as shown, while the outer shape is offset 400mm from the inner boundary. There is no simple way to do this directly in ASBD, so this will be done using AutoCAD. Just to illustrate the import and export features in ASBD, the control points will be entered in a spreadsheet, which will be copied and pasted into a new defined section. You will notice that the first and last points are the same, so the section shape is closed. The section can be exported to a DXF file, which can be opened in AutoCAD, manipulated into the two curved shapes, and saved as a new DXF file. This DXF file can then be imported into an ASBD section where reinforcement can be added. I'm now going to demonstrate a process for creating the control points as a shape in Autodesk Structural Bridge Design and exporting it to AutoCAD. With the software open, we start a new project and then add two materials, one for concrete, grade 40, and the other for standard reinforcing steel. Then under the design section, we're going to add a new section as a user-defined shape. Open up our spreadsheet, copy the selected area, two lines of X and Y coordinates, and paste them into the table. Just going to change the name to control points, and then use the export button to export this shape as a DXF file. We're going to call it control.dxf. It already exists, so we want to overwrite it. We can then go to AutoCAD and we're going to open that DXF file, which we call control. Manipulate this a little bit to make it easier to see. Then I'm going to define a spline based upon these control points. So I go round these control points sequentially, remembering to use right mouse button and close to make this a closed shape. Now Autodesk Structural Bridge Design only interprets polylines and 3D lines, so we need to convert this polyline, this spline into a polyline. We're going to use the default position of 10, and this gives us a certain number of points around the boundary. The next thing I'm going to do is use the offset command to offset this polyline out by 400mm. So I specify 400mm. I don't want it to be inside, I want it to be outside. This has now created a second polyline. I'm going to create two new layers and I'm going to put one of the polylines into one layer and the other into another line. So I'm going to call one inner and give this a particular colour, cyan. and I'm going to create a second one called outer. I'm going to give this a different colour, say magenta. Now if I right mouse click on the polyline, I can use quick properties to change the layer of this particular polyline to outer. And then I select the second polyline, just that, right mouse click, quick properties, and change the layer to inner. The control line shape I no longer need, so I can delete that. All that's left for me to do now is to save this as a DXF file, and we call this level 1. Again, this exists, so I'm going to replace this. Now we can go back to our structural bridge design application, and I'm going to select the particular section, and I'm selecting the section because I want to add these two new shapes into this existing section. Otherwise, if I'd selected this design section here, it would have created a brand new section. So here I can import level 1, I'm going to import just inner and outer layers, and if I now look, it has changed the name here to level 1, so that's the name of my section, and I've got two components, one inner and one outer. The control shape I no longer need, so I'm going to delete that. That leaves me with an inner shape and an outer shape. Now the outer shape will be, instead of void, a concrete. The inner shape of course will be the void, because that is forming the hole in the outer shape. So this is our shape completed. Next thing we're going to do is add some reinforcement. I'm going to reinforce faces with 80 bars, 25mm bars. I click on the first face in the outer line, and I'm going to give this a cover of 50mm, and the number of faces around the outside is going to be less than 200. So now we have bars, 80 bars around the outside, and the inner face, I'll repeat that by selecting the first line in that shape. Instead of plus 50mm, this will be minus 50mm, 50mm cover. Again 200 faces, and okay. And so that is my shape complete, and I can now carry out design checks, look at the capacities, create section properties, etc. For this particular design section.